Hey, Programming 12. So now we're going to take a look at some of the more advanced features, I guess, of processing and Java in general. We're going to talk about while loops in this video. So a while loop is a way of repeating something over and over again. It's great because it allows you to automate things, or take a piece of code and run it many times without typing it over and over again. And it connects really nicely with things like arrays and array lists, and we use those in the past to sort of create a game engine in Programming 11. So we're going to just take a look at the basic idea of while loops. So here's an example of a while loop. I'll make a variable. Often we use I as our counter because I is not, X or Y is not taken by other things. And here's what a while loop looks like. While I is less than 10. I'll just give it an example. Maybe just print line I, and we'll say I equals I plus 1. So here's an example of a lovely while loop. So the idea is that I is our counter variable. It's counting, keeping track of how many times we've done the loop. And then this while loop, basically it's like an if statement. It looks very much like an if statement. If I change while to if, you'd be like, oh yeah, it's the same syntax. Except that unlike an if statement when it finishes, it just moves on to the next thing. But a while loop, when it finishes, it goes back to the condition to see if it should do it again. And it keeps on doing it while that condition is true. So I just want to kind of run through this example. This prints out whatever I is, and I can show you what it is. Print line, by the way, that's spelled P-R-I-N-T, like print, and then L-N. I don't know, it's pronounced line. So L-N is the story. So you can see it prints down at the bottom here. I should make this bigger so people can see better. I'll just zoom in. You can see that it's just printing 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's what this loop did. And, well, why is that? So I starts at 0, right? And then our while loop begins. And we first check before we begin the while loop, hey, is 0 less than 10? And sure enough, 0 is less than 10. So what we do is we print out I, and you can see the result there. And then we increase I by 1. So now I is 1. At the end of the while loop, it goes back to the condition and checks. It checks the condition. And in fact, 1 is also less than 10. So it does it again. And you can see why that now will print 1. And of course, at the end of that, it goes to 2, to 3, to 4, and so on. Eventually, it gets down to 9, right? Once it's at 9, it goes to 10. And 10 is not less than 10. So the while loop stops. And then it goes on to do the next thing. So if I had another print line like, yay, we're done, something like that. That would work out nicely as sort of the final thing it would do. So it does all the stuff in the while loop and then moves on. So that's what a while loop is, and it's great for automating all sorts of different tasks. And oftentimes we just use it for moving a variable through a series of values. So this could get plugged into an array, for example. So we could flip through the pages of the array or through the elements of the array because that's based on an index. So we'll see in a minute what an array is and how loops can connect with them. But that's the basics of a while loop. So to practice, because this could be on the quiz, I guess, the unit test at the end. So to practice a little bit, I suggest writing some while loops that do a variety of things. Maybe a while loop that counts down from 42 to 0, going down by 1. Maybe a while loop that goes from 0 to n, where n is some integer. And you can assign the value for that. So these are examples of things we might do with while loops. And you might have to write your own while loops on the test. So I'll give out maybe some example questions for you as we get closer to the unit test to just sort of test your understanding of these things before we begin. I'll announce when that's going to be. It won't be a quiz, it'll just be a practice, and you can see how that goes for you. Okay. This checkpoint isn't due just yet, so or this isn't really a checkpoint, but the checkpoint for making the animated GIF. We'll probably synchronize it with that practice there. All right, so that's a while loop. Hope that makes sense, and I hope you find ways to use it in all sorts of interesting ways. Thank you.